Good day, it's Koos Bronkhorst again, and I've got a canvas in front of me, thinking to paint some water lilies. As you can see on the side, there's a larger canvas that I've already painted for the most part the lilies, and I'm going to try and show you a simple way and a very quick way of covering the canvas and then doing something. It's winter here in South Africa, and but it's a nice sunny day, and I hope to complete this picture very as quick as I can. Afterwards I can of course touch it up and refine it and that sort of thing, but for the video's sake I'm going to try and finish it as quick as I can. So please enjoy it, and if you like it, subscribe, costs you nothing. Thank you. Okay, I want to start in the top right hand corner. I'm using a gesso brush, and I'm using it almost randomly to give me an interesting shape on foliage and a bush of clump of trees. And I let the brush strokes, for now I've thinned it down very much, the paint, so I let the brush strokes show. And I got a dark clump. For this picture I've chosen to allow let the light, or imagine that the light is coming from the right hand side, and I go down about a third, not more than that. I want a little bit of higher horizon. And then this is it's like a warm white. It's actually called sepia. It's a local color, and then a touch of green in it, and I can put a bit of grey blue there, and that gives me an extra dimension. Now the canvas that I've done, I reprime all of them, even the board canvases, I reprime them with gesso or gesso. And for this underpainting and the blocking in of shapes and things, I am also using a gesso brush, which is hog's hair, but it is not very expensive brushes. So and I come a little bit over the center of the canvas, because we don't like to stop or start something dead center, even if it's just by a little bit. There's a suggestion of a clump of trees dark. The light's coming from over my right shoulder, so I am suggesting that I'm seeing mostly the shade here. And you can see how quick I can carry. I use the thinners, which is liquid, and thin down a slight bit of turp so that it's not too sticky, and it will also help my painting to dry quicker. And then it spreads the paint quite nice. I put a layer of gesso and acrylic medium, mixed it like 1/3 of the medium, and of the gesso 2/3. Then I reprimed the canvas. It's slightly warmer than it was before when I bought it, and now it works quite nice. The paint adheres to it, and yet it doesn't suck up all my medium or make the paint too dry, which causes a person to battle to cover your canvas. It takes twice as long, and already I think I'm talking a bit too much because I want to finish this thing, and then we can okay, I forgot to put some, let's just put some lemon yellow here. Let me get the Now this is like an orangey ochre, and this clump of trees and bushes here, so it's a different type, but it's also, the sun is catching it because it's on my left, so I will see, and then I will see mostly sunlights on this one. It's also not quite as prominent or as big as the right hand side, so it's just a shape, and I'm not concentrating much on brush strokes and the likes for now. I like to have like almost random the paint pushed in all directions, which gives me a nice effect. So I'm going to take that dark color now. Oh, actually, while I'm busy with that, I can do that. Orangey trees, which I've just mixed for. I'm taking some yellow ochre and some of that red ochre. It's a bit lighter now. And just the corner of this brush in the medium, otherwise it's too wet, and because it's a reflection in the water, my strokes now become vertical, and I keep them like that. It will have an influence on the final product, the way my brush strokes are going. So I do them like that, and it already suggests that there's water there. Then I'll go back to the dark clump of trees on the right hand side, and a dark object, the reflection of that dark object or subject in the water, the reflection will be slightly lighter than the clump of trees. When it turns around, if the clump of trees or whatever object it is light, then the reflection, usually we make it a bit darker. It's an illusion we create just to show depth, and it makes it look more natural. So I'm going to take some of this blue-grey that I mixed with the sepia here, and add a bit of yellow ochre and lemon yellow. You can also use cadmium if you want it richer, but I think for now this will be okay. So I'm going to indicate a reflection. You can see it's warmer, and I make it lighter. I just spread the paint so that it's translucent, and I think, yeah, that is more or less the right depth and weight. So there I've got more than 1/3 of the canvas covered already, and I haven't done much work or spent too much time wondering. Random strokes can be very useful. We can do more controlled strokes later on. So I'm going to take some of this blue-grey and white. And I can hold it against the canvas to see what I'm going to get. And I work carefully not to smudge too much. Soft edges around here, I can add some sharper edges later on. And then of course that blue also reflects into the water. It's light, the sky is light, so I'll make the reflection slightly darker. Try and make it look a bit believable. Now, you may think that I'm composing a picture here without a reference. I've got a reference here, of course, but I'm going to make it just exactly the same as that. And but it's from many years of observation and storing it in your mind and your mind's eye. But I also want to now put in the sky an indication that there's a little bit of cloud. So I'll take that orangey ochre color. It's almost like peach, and I put it at the top. I can adjust these colors later, mix them with thicker paint and white, and I can adjust them. But that to me looks like sort of almost a bit believable. Of course, there's also the reflection of the cloud in the sky. The picture over here, I actually overlapped the tree so that there's no sky there. So we just did it differently here. And now what I want to do is, half of my canvas is covered, so I want to cover the other half. So for a start, I'm going to take that same dark color I used in the top right hand corner by the clump of trees, and I'm going to repeat it in the bottom left hand corner, creating the impression that there's reeds and bushes here, and it also has got my picture anchored in two places. There you are. Now I'm going to take a tiny drop of white. I've got genuine cobalt blue here, and I mix it a bit with the white. It gives me a very natural blue, not totally primary. And then I can go and I still use these vertical strokes, because just now I'm going to put thicker paint there with a smaller brush and put some slabs of color to make it a little bit more impressionistic. And on the left hand side I'll put a bit of the blue grey. Blue grey you can mix with your favorite pigments. A very useful one, burnt sienna and ultramarine, French ultramarine or cobalt blue. Okay, I've got some cobalt violet here. Violet is complementary with green, yellow and all that kind of things, and it gives me the chance to vary the colors in the water and make the yellows that I may add as highlights or mid-tones. So it gives me the opportunity to show it off much nicer, but also it makes your picture much more colorful. So I will use some of that same cobalt violet, cobalt blue, and in the corner here, that is a bit too violet, so I've got it on the canvas. I'll just leave it there, and then I'll rinse the brush, pick up some blue, and work it in like that. Now I get the variation. You can make it a little bit lighter, so I'll put the blue grey there, so that it doesn't make a very sharp, worrisome contrast. Contrast that may bother your eye. So I'll put some white with the cobalt blue and make sure I've got this more or less the way I want it. I can repeat the color over there, repeat it there, 2 or 3 different places or so, which helps to pull my picture together. And then go right to the edge. Now my canvas is covered with pigment. It's got liquid in the painting medium with a bit of tips that I did, so it gets sticky very quick, and then I can work on it. So to give me the opportunity now to make it a little bit more refined, I will take thicker color and take a smaller brush. This is a fairly sturdy synthetic brush. They're cheap, so I don't have to worry that I'm going to make a mess or spend a lot of money on brushes. Things are tough as they are, so let us mix with the palette knife some of the blue, and I'm gonna put some horizontal strokes there to suggest movement in the water, ripples that reflect light, and just now they're going to become stronger. And yeah, I can also use it to make a softer grade from dark to light and change in color. Just blend them a little bit. And the colors are not so sharp now. I'll do now a bit of the blue, cobalt blue with the yellow ochre here, a little bit thicker paint, less painting medium, more pigment, and make this look a bit more grey and even warmer towards yellow. Now you can see it is beginning to look more realistic. That was a bit light, but now I know I can darken it with a thicker color. I don't usually mix pools of color ready when I got a smaller canvas like this, there's a little bit more light in it now, here and there. Also, be careful that I don't make very controlled squares or circles or things like that, because then it looks unnatural. And then of course that can come down fairly low, because I've got a lot of foliage there. I think let's change the color slightly and try and do one touch marks. Now I'm going to work on the bushes on the left. And take some of that sepia and mix it with this orange ochre and just make it a bit darker there. This is still random, all direction brush strokes, which is my friend. Random brush marks can be your friend. You don't have to be scared about who's going to criticize you about it or whatever. If it's your friend, then you know you enjoy using it that way, then you do that. And of course give some shape to the clumps of trees. And that became fairly much darker now. So I'm going to make that orange ochre, add a bit of white. I also still got some of the sepia on my brush and a bit of blue. Now it's become like a warmer grey, and I put it here just for shape, and then I can go and make it lighter. So I've got a bit of brilliant orange here. I can use that, put a bit of white with it, add some of the orange ochre. I've got white with it, so this is a bit of a warmer, lighter color, and it just helps to give me the impression of a reflection. So I've got water there now. So I'll use that same bit of white, the orange and the orange ochre, make it a little bit lighter, and go, and it's a bit too sharp. I will just allow my brush to help me to make an interesting shape here. If you've got lots of interesting shapes in your picture, you don't really need anything else apart from the color and the form. So there, that looks, I think it looks quite likable. So I'll take some of the blue, lighten that, add a bit more white. And here that orangey and blue have now mixed on the canvas. So it gives me a nice effect. Make it lighter there. Take a bit of that light orange. Yeah, on this side I've got. If it's too sharp, I can just go over it with the blue if it's too dominant. And that grays it down. The orange and the blue are complementary, so the one can gray down the other. So now I'm going to try and enhance the feeling of water. So I'll take some of the blue gray with white. This is going to be fairly light. It's going to suggest some ripples on the water. And on the right hand side is a shadow side, so I'll use a cooler ripple. Now also the same as with a road or telephone poles or a fence or anything, the perspective we get, the further it gets away from us, the illusion is that it gets closer or it gets shorter or it gets narrower. So the distance between that ripple and this one is such, and I make it like 2/3 longer the next one. And that gives me the illusion of depth. I can go a little bit lighter and just touch it here and there. I can also repeat some of that here. I don't think we'll put too many lilies on this. We'll just make it a mood of water and trees, foliage, bush, and a few lilies. Now on the left hand side, I'm also going to make a suggestion of ripples, but of course there, the sun is catching it a bit more. On the trees here, just a suggestion to make it look slightly tighter and blended. I can put paint on there, take another brush, and now I'm going to use some cadmium yellow and mix it with blue. Gives me like a very soft light green, but I still wanted to stand out here, and I wanted to stand out maybe a bit more, so I can make it a little bit darker at the bottom. If you get too much medium on your canvas, then it will just slide the pigment around. You won't get the effects that you want. That is maybe for some people that won't be neat enough, but it doesn't need to be, because I'm going to put, and I must remember now that the lily pads, which is the leaves floating on the water, as I get closer, because I've got a high horizon, I'm looking slightly down on these things. So they're not going to be quite round, they're going to be more like oval. And the illusion is that those closer to me are bigger, but they're not necessarily bigger, but they appear to be, and that is an illusion. We use illusions in painting to create a sense of depth and all sorts of things. And these lily pads are usually in groups. If I do it on a bigger painting, I can even put this, make the shape of the leaves better. As I move away now, they appear to get smaller. A group of 3 there. Here where it's lighter, I can imagine that it's lying in bit of shade, so I make it a bit cooler. That's not quite correct. So I'll use a bit more blue. I can put highlights on these things. Lay slabs of color. It's much thicker paint now. Add a bit of white to it so that I've got. Be careful that they don't slant up or down, because it may suggest that the water is running uphill or downhill. It's not. So they've got to be a very good horizontal, strong horizontal. Make it a bit darker, blue there, and then add the green on top. It's almost like a lime yellow, this. And then of course I can put, even if I take the blue and I mix it with the sepia, make some darker ones here, more sepia. Okay, the bushes at the bottom here, that's supposed to represent reeds and foliage. I make the paint a little bit thicker now and darker, because as I added paint to the rest of the picture, this underpainting appeared to be a bit too light. So I just go and I strengthen it, and yeah, I can also make the suggestion that it's very dark at the bottom. A little bit of sepia to mix, just like that. Can use the paint very thin. It doesn't need to be all thick layers, and I can always add layers if I like. So I'm going to now indicate a few flowers. So it's usually red, reddish pink and white. The lilies themselves. So, and I've noticed in my observations that the underside of the white lilies tends to lean towards green or a blue-green, which is actually the shadow underside influenced by the reflection of the water onto it. I'll just do it like that. Fairly thick paint now. I'm not using any painting medium here, so I'll go and I'll add myself a flower there, and that is more towards a green, and they usually got this petal hanging here. Then they've got petals, so I make them like that. Just let the brush do the work. It's a sharp edged brush, and I can repeat just get sort of the character of a flower. So I want to put never two of the same, but I can put an uneven number, because otherwise there'll be something in the picture that worries my eye, and I then sometimes very difficult to figure out what it was, and usually maybe it's just a count. The tally is even, and it shouldn't be even. So I'm going to take now some red, and I add, this is cadmium red, and I'm adding a bit of sepia to it to make it darker. So I'm going to put a different color flower here. And just an indication of flowers as it go back. These are all fairly close to me. I'll clean this brush, and now I've got the mood right, and I'll do a bit of highlights on the lilies now, add a bit of white. Okay, now this is like to indicate just stronger sunlight on the lilies. It's usually got a petal hanging down like this. I can put the indication of a small one there. They don't have to necessarily be the same size. And this is not white. Never use clear white on a picture. There's always a mix of something. I can put even a few indications there. So it takes my eye into the picture. And these are not any specific shape. They're just actually dots of color. I can even put some on this side. And then afterwards, when I put thicker paint, I can vary them. Okay, now I got cadmium red light here, and I put a bit of orange with it. And I go and I do the same on the red flowers. Just a touch here and there. This is really just an illusion of detail. Okay, now I want to, that I've got that leads my eye into the picture, I want to make a bit of stronger lily pads, which is going to require thicker paint. I'll use the sepia and some yellow. There are of course formulas that the person can use to work out exactly how and where to put the next one. And with artificial intelligence programs and things, I suppose that becomes much easier now. I enjoy it more to do my own thing and enjoy myself more, other than having a machine do it for me. And of course a machine doesn't have a soul. So the feeling is gone. I may get a perfectionist composition and placement of everything, but the feeling may be gone. Okay, now I'm going to do thicker paint still, blue. I'm going to do blues and violets here, make it stand a little bit more. Thicker paint, and as I get closer to me, the strokes become broader and closer together. As they go further back, they get bigger, the gaps get bigger as I come towards myself. I can repeat that color in the sky and make it slightly lighter so that it doesn't fight with, there's a bit of yellow in here as well, so it mustn't fight with this. Now I can go and make the ripples even lighter, but it's still not white. Okay, the illusion is all there. So I think I will now put an indication of some tree trunks and things there so that it doesn't look just flat like that, a flat bush. Take a grey, lighten it down a bit, hold my brush sideways and just let it almost a bit more natural. Also uneven number. Gives it the illusion of detail. Some people will call it detail, but it's not really, it's just accidental strings. And then the reflection of that will be, that gives me the chance now to really enhance the idea of water reflections. And I can do the same on this side. The only thing is I use a bit of a warmer grey. I can either this way vertical use the brush, or I can pull it up, or I can hold it down like this. I'll make me a couple of highlights there in the water. Make the canvas look slightly neater by the surface and the finish of it. Yellow. Here it is. I can even use the tip of this brush to make stalks. Many ways that I can use it. So as you go along, you can find out strokes and techniques that will be easier for you and works the best. Some people actually make tools to assist them in making very realistic marks. I feel that I need something here. And then also there's a flower there that has no stem, so it can't just float in the air. So I'll just take, because it's a lighter color, I will put a dark stem. And where the background is dark, I will put a lighter stem. I feel that on the left there, that's not quite putting together with the picture, although it's so I'm going to make it a bit darker. Much more natural. Okay, so when I've reached this stage, the picture, some people can say, sign a picture, it's done. Others will feel that you could do a bit more. We can of course decide, and we can even let the picture dry and then decide we're going to add one thing here or there. Once the painting's dry and I add something to it, then the surface is dry, but the paint, the new paint that I just added, is wet. So it becomes very easy to just wipe it off and try again. So for now, I'm going to feel that I've got the mood created right, and everybody who sees this will definitely think it's a lily pond with trees, foliage and some lilies around. So I hope you enjoyed this demonstration, and please do subscribe, it costs you nothing. And for us struggling artists, this could be a bit of an income. So thank you very much, and thank you for spending time.